So, early on in August, I told all of you, you better get on chalk and wire because chalk and wire's changed. And I'm hoping that you looked at that little handout I attached to help you kind of guide you because it's a different look. So, this hasn't changed. We're going to put our username and passwords in. So, that's what I'm going to do at this point. And I'm going to be a student for now. So, I put my username in. And I enter. At this point, now I don't know what comes up for you because mine is an administrator account. Maybe your portfolio comes up right away. Let me pull this up a little bit. Off to the left, they're the three horizontal bars. And we're going to click on that. I want to just say this. Some of you have already emailed me saying, boy, I can't get my screen opened up. And I've said to you, try a different browser. Now, it's kind of been all over the place. Normally, Chalk and Wire does not like Internet Explorer. It does well with Firefox, Safari, Google Chrome. But then I had somebody this week, who's Cameron? Cameron this week, he had an easy time with Internet Explorer and he was having a struggle with Google Chrome. So go figure. So I'm just going to tell you, if you're running into some problems with just the mechanics, go into a different browser. But generally, Internet Explorer is not the real favorable. Okay, so we're on those three horizontal bars, so we click on that. And this is a little different feature where all of you as a student, your work will be under work. So we go to this menu item, work, and you want to click on my coursework. And this will take you to your portfolio. And I got a whole bunch of shared portfolio, but you'll have at least one portfolio sitting up here. And if I click on that, that will take me to my portfolio. But I'm not going to do that, and nor are you. Because we're going to create a new portfolio. You're going to create a new edTPA portfolio. So if you went too far, go back to those horizontal bars, and we're going to click on Create New Portfolio. All right? So, everybody with me? I'm going to click New Portfolio. Before you start giving it a name, you're going to want to go under the table of contents and click the down arrow. Oh wait, you know what? Hold on a second. If you don't, first of all, let's go to the table of contents. Everybody click on the table of contents. And click the down arrow. Oh, select department. So number one, select department, you're going to want to click on edTPA.
Which one?
Okay, then we're going to stop right there because this is going to be unique to all of you. Okay, so number one, we went to select department and we went to just edTPA. You do not want to go to teacher education. Okay, stop. I'm going to go back one more time. When you open up your window, can I just hold on 1 second? When you open up your window, even if you don't go to your portfolio, you can click on New Portfolio. And it's right here where it says Do Not See Your Table of Contents. That's where you want to click on Select Department, edTPA, and then this down arrow is where I'm going to talk about, but we're not going to do anything there yet.
Don't
Now,
select a handbook yet, even though some of it may seem obvious. Just don't
I
select.
don't want you to check on one of those handbooks yet because I want to do some explaining. Did everybody get to that point? Do I have some no's? Okay,
It's all right. Remember, in a few minutes, we're going to go around the rooms so we can work one-on-one.
yeah. Then I'll work with individual students. Unless I have massive questions, then we'll answer those questions. But if you're a unique person that you are having a struggle, hang tight, follow your colleague next door and I'll help you along. Okay, so now, you're going to want to give it a name. And you know, in the past, you maybe called it your first name, last name portfolio. This one, you may want to call it first name, last name, and edTPA, or first name, last name, student teaching. Whatever it is, just make it a little more unique, because when you go into your portfolios, I always tell people, you want to kind of know the difference between the two when you're just looking at those when they get posted. So just give it a name for now and stop. Now, I'm going to answer first the one that's got 3 choices. Actually, there's almost 4 choices, but I'm going to talk about 3 choices. Elementary people. You have 3 choices of handbooks, and I'm going to talk about them briefly, but I'm going to let you decide how you want to do that. There's an elementary literacy. That entails 15 rubrics like everybody else that has to do with reading language arts. Okay, that's kind of that in a nutshell. Then there's an elementary mathematics. That's 15 rubrics with basically mathematics focus. And then there's a third one. It's called elementary education. That's 18 rubrics. 15 of them are about literacy. The last 3 have to do with mathematics, saying you choose a mathematics lesson, teach, and reteach. Okay. That one is a little more rigorous. Why might I choose that? Well, I might choose it because it shows I have good teaching in both content areas. Why would higher ed like that? Well, we could see that you've done quite well in both literacy and mathematics. What's the disadvantage? It costs more. And I should have looked at the price. I don't remember what it is. If you're sending it to Pearson, it costs more. If you are not sending it to Pearson and you want to try it, it's no cost to you, but it costs more. What's another disadvantage? It also has 3 more rubrics. We have not, at the college level, we have not made a decision which one to make you take. That's not voluntary, which will be mandatory. If you all want to kind of experiment with it, it might be not bad. I would really like to see a few elementary literacy, mathematics, and elementary ed, and kind of get your feedback on what worked and what didn't work. So if you're one of those people who's not paying for it, and you want to try the elementary ed, you know, go for it too. But it's totally your choice. But now, how might you know the differences? Don't do anything. If I want to see the difference between the 3, I am going to go to the down arrow, and I'm going to go to elementary education, and I'm going to create that. And later on, I can look at here it is. When I click on that, my whole handbook will show up, and I want to, I'll show you right now, because this really applies to everybody. If I click on this, my whole handbook of 70 pages will show up, okay? Normally, all handbooks are about 45, I'd say, to 50 pages. So that would be what you could look at. Okay, so that's my elementary education handbook. All right, so I'm going to go back. I hope this is a big tutorial. Okay, so that was elementary education. Now, if I'm an elementary person and now I want to look what the literacy one looks like, I'm going to create another new portfolio, and I'm going to call Wanda Literacy, and I need to find my elementary literacy. There it is. You know, wait, hold on a second. There's something missing on my 2014-15, and I did something wrong. Hold on a second, everybody. not showing up as people, would you just take a look at your edTPAs? Make sure it says 2014-15. Are you all saying yeah? Really? Well, good for you. Why did I do
Wanda, if you don't change the department, I
must have done something wrong in that first one. Okay. Okay, elementary literacy. Click on it, create. And then this time I can go to my instructions, click on my instructions, click on my handbook, open it up. There's my literacy handbook and there's 49 pages. So why am I saying this? I'll get back to everybody. So elementary people, you got 3 choices. If you really want to see the difference between all 3 handbooks, make 3 different handbooks, and then eventually you can just delete, delete, delete until you get the one you want. And if you've already made up your mind saying, are you kidding, I'm doing mathematics, I already picked my class, I already know what I'm teaching, I want mathematics, good for you, you're ready to rock and roll, okay? I just wanted to show that choice for you. Now, secondary people. You look really good. Hey, by the way, remember when I said you can get rid of things? If I looked at 3 handbooks, if I do this, I don't want this handbook anymore, I just click on hide portfolio. Are you sure you want to hide it? Yeah, I do. So now when I come back, I only have my elementary ed one. So if you look at all 3 handbooks and you decide I don't want literacy and I don't want education, I want mathematics, you can get rid of those other 2 portfolios. So okay, we're ready to go for everybody. So now we're going to create our new portfolio and just make sure your list has, hang on, I need to go back to my edTPA 2014-15. I don't know if I make sure you want it to the right part. Okay, so I'm going to click the down arrow. And these are your choices. So it's pretty self-explanatory. If you're mathematics right now, you see secondary mathematics. If you're a science person, there you are. If you're art, you're visual arts. If you are English as an additional language, my TESOL person, there you are. 5 HHPs there. Performing arts would be music. There's history, social studies. I think everybody should be able to find your handbook. So give it a name. First name, last name, edTPA, and then click your down arrow. So this one I'm going to call Wanda Mathematics. edTPA. I want to do elementary mathematics. And then click the word create. And that's what your screen should look like. Okay, everybody kind of out there? Okay. Now, what do you need to do? The first thing you're going to want to do when you go out to your groups, you're going to want to find your handbook, and you saw what I did. I clicked the arrow, I clicked my handbook, and open it up. And when Stacy was talking about all those very specific directions, they're all on those pages, and the rubrics will follow as well. Now, totally your call. I think at some point you may want to make a hard copy of this when you go out of here. It's kind of nice to have a hard copy while you're working on some of this on your edTPAs or doing lesson design, those kind of things. Okay, so that's where you find the information about your handbook, especially as you start this assignment today. Okay, now I'm going to just walk you through just a few little features on here that could be helpful. So there's the handbook. by the way, whenever you want it, this is another piece of, that's a little different. Whenever you want to do something on your portfolio, you open up your portfolio, click on Edit Portfolio, and it'll show up again. Okay, so our first document you're going to be wanting to look at today is, let me make sure I'm not jumping ahead of this. Yeah, you're going to be wanting to look at this context for learning information. And right here, when you open up context for learning, here's your directions on exactly what you need to do. Because first they're going to download the context for learning information. Just a quick piece on this. Context for learning has to do with what's the school? What's the kind of population? What's your grade level? How many boys? How many girls? What's the curriculum you're using? What do you need to know about your team teaching or your co-teaching? How many staff? There's a lot of information. Do you have special needs kids in your class? Do you have some English language learners in your classroom? So context for learning is only 2 pages long, and it gives a lot of background information to the assessor. And it's what you got to plan for. You need to know all that stuff if you're doing good planning. So if I open up that document, this is where you're going to begin filling out this information that has to do with that school and district and the kids, the group of students that you're going to be working with for planning, instruction, and assessment. If I use this arrow, I can kind of look at all the different pieces of this. Like I said, it's 2 pages long.
One of the best things to do on the context for learning and the commentaries, which are basically worksheets. You need to answer all the questions in the pages that you're allotted. They tell you you cannot go over this many pages. Is to open the document, fill in as much as you can at any given time, and then save it somewhere. You know, save it on your desktop or wherever you save all your files, so that then you can go back to it, add to it, edit it, and then eventually you'll submit it to Chalk and Wire. So that's probably the best thing for the context for learning and then the commentary sheets.
Take a look at the directions when you're looking at the context for learning.
No, it's all done. I mean, we can if you need to, but no, you don't need to.
So make sure you follow those directions before you start asking, you know, when you're in your small groups and start asking questions, it's really spelled out here. Before you start saying, well, Wanda, what about this? It's very clear on what you need to do. So do look at the directions before you start asking, because I'll probably say, did you read the directions? You know, like, I bet you do that with your students in your classes. Did you read the directions? And I will do that too. Okay, so, all right. Let me go back. Okay, some of the different things, how to upload a file, the text block. So every time you need to upload things or add into the text blocks, make sure that you're clicking the down arrow and all your choices are there. Very similar to what we had before, but it's in a different place. There we go. So it takes us back. Then another activity I think you're going to be working on today is your lesson designs. So take a look at that. And again, there's your directions, exactly what you need to do. Some of you might ask about sizes. The size limit's there as well. Go ahead, Stacy.
And you may not remember because it was new. In your student teacher handbook, which is on the College of Education page, is a template for lesson plan. You don't have to use that template, but a lot of the things you fill out in that template are really important for the edTPA. I would tell you, particularly if you're submitting to Pearson, probably a good idea to try to use that template. But again, nobody has to use that template, but it might help you because it really prompts you to make sure you address the important areas.
Something to keep in mind when you submit something to each one of these items, notice they're red. I don't know why is that one always green? There's a problem with that. They're red. As soon as you submit the full piece that you're supposed to for each one of those different tasks, it turns green. And not until all the tasks are green are you able to submit it locally and to Pearson. So just so you know, it's kind of a nice little tag for you to know, okay, I got that done, I got that thing done, whatever. Okay, so as you go out into your groups today, you're gonna start working on these different tasks. So I'm trying to think, did I miss anything? So I showed you how to find your handbooks, or first, how to choose a handbook. Make sure that you know how to get into the handbook and see what is it, what is it I'm gonna be working with. And then I showed you how to start adding things in each one of these documents. Okay, do you want me to do that? Yeah, let me open it up to general questions for everybody, because it's just some introductory work for you. And then as you start experimenting with this, then you'll start having maybe additional questions. Yes?
I just had a quick question about the context for learning information. For the task one, when it comes to addressing the first few questions, addressing students and everything, do you just focus on the one class that we are teaching or all of the classes that we'll be looking at? Just the one?
Just the one.
Just yeah. Did you hear her question? She said, when we're focusing on what we're adding on to the context for learning, you're focusing on just the learning segment with those students. But there are going to be some general questions about the school and district. So, yeah. Okay, any other questions? Nice and loud, go ahead.
Some of us, when we click on our handbooks, we're just getting a blank page. We can't pull anything.
Say it again.
Some of us, when we click on our handbooks, we're just getting a blank page. Like her and I are just getting blank pages, and we can't get the actual handbook up.
We'll help, Wanda, we'll help you with that individually.
Okay.
Wanda will probably need to just.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, for these questions, do we have to rewrite it like a paper format, or do we just fill in the questions?
They want it right in there, just like a worksheet.
Okay.
Yep, just fill it in. And then it says, you may not have noticed, but it says 3-page maximum.
Yeah, that's what I-
The whole thing, yeah.
Okay, fine. Oh my God.
For elementary, the literacy or math.
Okay, hang on a second so we catch the questions. Go ahead. For
For
elementary.
elementary literacy or math, do we have to decide today, can we talk to our teachers and see if they have a suggestion as to like what subjects the class will have, like the better range of learners that we'll be able to show? Or should we
Yes,
know-
you do not have to decide today. Some of you, obviously, the choice is obvious. And some of you, you're right, you want to just talk to your cooperating teacher, you don't have to make that decision.
However, the sooner you make the decision, the better, because that's why we're doing a lot of the tasks today. So I don't want to rush you, that's why elementary people, that's why I gave you 3 choices. So you really gotta look at the handbooks to decide which one do I want to do. And I totally want to give you that time, but the sooner you can make it, the better, because you want to keep working on this. So, okay.
So now, you are going to go into your groups. In your packet, it lists who you'll be working with. You should be paired up probably with 1 or 2 people in similar areas, but we also spread you out in professional work groups with people from other areas, because you all bring different expertise and can help each other in figuring out these answers and knowing the best thing to write. And it is okay to help each other. You have different classes. You're teaching different topics. And that's what's going to make your edTPA unique to you. Some things Wanda and I may not be able to answer point blank, because we want to see what you know without Wanda and I telling you. I mean, we're going to help you with this whole process, but now certain specific questions you can ask each other, but Wanda and I may say, we can't give you exactly that answer. We might be able to guide you with some questions. So, Wanda's going to tell you which rooms you'll go into. And once you get into those rooms, there's some guiding questions on the back page of your packet. And we'd like you to just sort of work through it. See if you can do those tasks, see if you're on the right track, working through the portfolio, finding what you need to, jot down some of those answers. And I will want to collect that today, as well as if you have the video guideline sheet signed by you. I would like that. And we need you to come back at what time?
No, it's good.
Yeah.
It's on your agenda.
4:30.
So 4:30. You're coming back at 4:30. And if it looks like you're getting done quicker, we'll let you know that.
Yeah.
But remember, when you go out to your groups, you need to be doing this on